Welcome to the BANGover podcast. I'm Scott Allen. That's Chris Myers.
Hello.
And today we're doing something different than we normally do. Plus, it's been a while.
We've some new things have happened. Some changes. We've lost things. We've gained things.
But it's like, who hasn't, right?
Yeah, exactly. In these times, nothing is for certain. So we took it. We used what we had and took advantage of it while we had it. You know, I don't know if people are following. The old format was we were learning songs and
playing them. We had a studio, but due to the coronavirus and just the price of rent, lost that place. So it was kind of like a little bit, a bump in the road for us, where it's like we can't play live shows. Mm-hmm. Our whole thing as a production company is about live music. Mm-hmm. It was hard enough to keep it going, but we were lucky enough to have a place to where we could go and just like pretty much it's like going to work. Yeah. That's what it felt like.
If we wanted to do an episode,
we're both
we could do it. But also just like we could experiment with different formats and like have fun and do new and unique things and try stuff. And given that I'm sure we'll have that again at some point and be able to jump back into that sort
for sure.
But
they seem to always find us, right?
Yeah,
that wasn't our first.
Yeah,
that's for sure. So we're trying to get back at it.
Yes.
Trying something a little bit different. Instead of breaking down just one album, we want to kind of give you like a little bit of everything that's happening throughout the month.
There's a lot
anniversary-wise, right?
Anniversaries.
The birthday party.
Yeah, we have a lot that happens that we kind of we mention in episodes, but we never really get to flush out or kind of give shine. Like we'll mention other albums that come out maybe that month from the same artist that we do.
Right, and we have to pick one.
Yeah, or maybe we talk about a new album that's maybe relevant, or just news in general. We'll usually do stuff. We'll touch on things in these episodes, but we never really flush them out. And then some get brushed aside. Some albums because there's so many that come out. You have a whole month of anniversaries. It's like you can't touch every one. We can't physically. It's hard. So
and to be honest, and we've learned this from doing 100 plus. It feels like 100 episodes. I think we're close.
We were
pretty close. Yeah. But in 80 something episodes, there were some really good stories to be told. And then there was also just not a lot to be told on the albums that we picked. And we committed to doing this album. We're like, there's not a lot of content for this one, but something like a more legendary album that has more time. It definitely has more story
about it or something. Yeah,
it's been 45 years. It's the 45th.
Some albums we just talk about our experience with listening to them, or even just that band, and we'll just try. We try to do our best to go off the information and flush it out and give as much context to that album and information. But some, like you're saying, there's not enough information out there.
Yeah.
So,
and we're not really music critics either. We're musicians. Mm-hmm. So I
can give an opinion, but I can't.
Yeah.
I'm not.
For a little
trained.
Bit of background, me and Chris been playing together in multiple bands for the past 15 years. Chris is a guitar player, mainly lead. He could do rhythm. He could play bass. Whatever, backing vocals, even plays drums. I've seen you play drums.
I slap.
And me, Scott, I am a drummer and sometime vocalist.
Yeah.
Sometime vocalist, if it calls for it.
Yeah.
If no one else is there.
Both have been in bands, have played out as much, up until this last year. And even then, we still try to find as much opportunity to do stuff. So we're active, even in this time of Corona.
Which we've been lucky for, because we get to go to band practice once a week because we know a lot of people out there have just been on hiatus with their bands because it's hard to be in the same room with each other with the virus that, is about breathing on people. And there's no way in hell I can wear a mask and play drums. So I get it. We got lucky on that one. Plus, having the studio, we were able to just go in there and learn cover songs. Some
just
passion projects that we had.
Mm-hmm. Work on stuff. It's a totally different environment that allowed us to do stuff, unfortunately. So now we're kind of going back a step and rethinking stuff and giving you something new. It's a new year,
We wish we could play you the songs, but if anyone else is following the news when it comes to social media and copyright infringements, when it comes to music rights, holy fuck.
Yeah. At some point, maybe we should, find some like stock music we can kind of just have underneath, because it's nice to listen to music and talk, kind of have it underneath it. But it just, unfortunately, in the situation and time we're at, we're not there quite yet to have other people's music.
We'll see in a couple months. People are having meetings right now with other people, and
things might be changing.
We could go to Amazon and just do our podcast on Amazon, and then you would have to go and follow us on Amazon to hear the music that's only available on Amazon. So there's ways, or we can be Spotify exclusive, but we're figuring it out. So today, we're going to get into a lot of different things. We're going to start off with some rock and roll news, get into some things, new releases, and then talk about a couple albums that are having anniversaries this month, as well as some musicians that we have lost.
We mentioned
a sad moment.
Yeah, in all our anniversaries, we do sometimes touch on people who have passed on and like members changing and stuff like that, and we give them that time in that album, in that discussion, like as far as just credit and like mention,
right?
But we don't really get a chance to like specifically talk about people that may have like passed that month, or even people that may be related to that band. So it's just it's a way for us to kind of
another thing, maybe if you didn't know by now, we're metalheads. So the majority of stuff we do talk about is metal. We've done some hip hop. We like punk, but I always find punk in the same realm. It's rock and roll, and it's a bunch of subgenres underneath that umbrella. We like other things, but our main knowledge and passion is heavy metal, or just rock and roll. That we play it, we listen to it all the time. We constantly do research outside of ever reporting a podcast, and just because we were so fascinated on knowing more, or following one musician down a rabbit hole of many other bands. After you find one band, you're like, he was also in it.
Yeah.
So it's addicting to us, and that's why we thought, why don't we start a podcast?
Yeah, and that's kind of like where this is kind of themed too.
Everyone.
We touch on metal and rock and roll a lot on our anniversary, so it just seems fit to kind of keep going with that theme.
And it's where our knowledge lies.
Exactly.
I would love to get into some other things because it's always fascinating to break into something that, like,
we did the NWA album, and that was really fun.
The Alkaline Trio album, I was like, I've never before, I was like, where I had to like find things I needed to like, like, because I don't want to be like super negative here. So I'm like, I gotta find the good things in a band I really do not care about. But that's the best thing, because it makes you appreciate, especially when you have to like, oh, I've listened to this album before, but now we're like forced to kind of dive into it and listen to it on a different, a level, or on a different scheme of things, or grand scheme, to where it kind of opens up your eyes a little bit, and it actually builds knowledge for us. So why don't we get into the beginning of this?
Yeah, and also just for me, we're doing the get this out of the way. Sorry. For people that are listening audio, we will do video eventually, get back to that as far as having the main camera and stuff. We're just trying to let's get this going first.
And to be honest, there's nothing to see over here.
I mean, we'll get it going as far as having a better planned out visualization for the show, because I do want stuff to come up for news stories and albums, and I want there to be visual references for the things we talk about, but I'm still personally in the process of setting all that up, so soon we will have a better produced video show.
We'll find an intern.
Yeah.
If anyone's interested.
Yeah.
Email us at BANGover Productions with an S.
Yes.
At Gmail. All right, well, let's
get into some news. So let's see. We got first up on the list. The Grammys happened. Not that big of a deal for anybody that like listens to rock and metal. Really, it's like it's one of those have your own opinions on the Grammys and the awards in general. Feel free to. I'm not personally advocating for such glorification, really, but
I mean, this is supposed to be a celebration of music, so it's always been in our culture. Like, hey, did you see that performance on the Grammys? Because you'll have like rare.
There are some
performance,
really I mean, a lot of time and effort,
like
work.
people you've never seen play together, come together and play, and the award system definitely seems a bunch of bullshit because there's that VH1 thing when they talked about I can't remember the band's name, but it won over Metallica.
Jethro Tull.
Oh, the fucking flute. Yeah.
So there's the controversy.
Rock and roll.
That metal controversy with Jethro Tull and Metallica, and we'll talk about Metallica later in the episode also. But
it's also brought up as like under the band's resume that they were nominated for best metal performance or best metal album. Even if you don't win it, still being nominated is a huge honor because there's so much out there that a band like Gojira, when they got nominated for the first time, that was huge. Yeah, and they fought forever. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, it's one of those things where like have your own sort of thoughts about when the whole thing, but
let's
we can congratulate some people.
Good stuff there.
So, so the Grammys happened, and a few news stories about that. Body Count won for the best. Let's see, what was the actual category? Best metal performance, and that was on March 14th, and the show was supposed to happen on the 31st. So because of coronavirus and all that stuff, they reformatted the show. Aside from like the performances, which they did sort of like in an enclosed space, they weren't to a general public. They almost like did performances for the other bands. There was like 5 or so stages in a warehouse, almost giant spaces, and all the bands just performed for each other. So it was kind of cool in that way. But I didn't really watch most of it or a lot of it. I just kind of tuned in for some of the in memoriam stuff, which we'll talk about. But yeah, so Body Count takes the best metal performance category, which had for Bum Rush, the album.
And are these the other bands that were nominated?
Yes, Code Orange for Underneath.
Whoa.
In This Moment for The In Between.
What?
Poppy for Blood Money, which is weird. I mean, go check out Poppy. Anybody who's listening, it's very weird stuff. And then Power Trip for Executioner's Axe, which is a live album. It's Executioner's Tax, Swing of the Axe. Sorry, but it's live.
Oh, I thought there was
So they I think because
like their song,
he died recently. They're kind of
axe.
Yeah. So he, the lead singer, passed away. I forgot his name. I can pull it up here.
Today's your lucky day.
Do you happen to know the singer's name that passed away?
It's on the tip of my tongue. I did a bunch of research for like 5
Is it
albums.
Riley?
Riley
Gale.
Yeah, damn it. I was gonna say. I was like Ryan.
Yeah.
No, it's Riley. Yeah, always wore a baseball cap.
Yeah, passed away in 2020, so last year.
Yeah, sad.
Yeah.
I never got to see him live. It sucked.
I've seen their YouTube stuff.
I never got to see
looks insane. It looks fun. So.
Oh my god,
they put on a great show.
Yeah, some of the performances, just getting really into it, like jumping in the crowd. It's also I love fucking thrash, and they are like a modern day thrash band, which. There's not too many that are in the mainstream, so I hope they didn't just get nominated because he passed away. But
that's what I'm thinking. Usually, it's kind of sad and all that, but it's like one of those we got to give them some notoriety, a shout out because honestly, that's probably their last thing they're going to release with him. So.
Good and a bad thing.
Yeah. So yeah, that was a first bit of Grammy
Code
news.
Orange, yeah, that new album of theirs.
Yeah, have you heard any of these albums?
Yeah, I've listened to that Code Orange album, and
actually, I did listen to that. That was actually really good. Yes,
insanely good.
Yes,
yeah.
Right.
The Body Count's really good too. I love the Body Count, and to be honest, every time I'm like hanging around with like my bandmates, my bass player always talks about it. I'm like, Jesus Christ, you've been listening to it for like 2 months straight.
I think In This Moment is probably the only band I'm not too familiar with.
Oh my god, I became like super addicted because she's like really hot metal chick, and there was like this one song, and it's very much like a kind of Marilyn Manson-ish ripoff video of like her on a podium, the costume changes and how it looks, and even the music in some ways kind of. But I love it. It's so corny, like metal corny and cheap, that it's so addicting. It's like a corny action film. You know, just a bunch of explosions, one-liners. Like, fucking love it, dude. I don't know why, but I really do. Like, it's kind of like one of those things where it's like, fuck, I don't know why.
Well, you've probably heard everything but the poppy stuff. So, I mean,
I've
excusing
never heard that one.
I mean, I would say of all the nominations.
You know where I ever heard the live album of The Power Trip?
Yeah. But it is a live album, so, I mean,
How good can it be?
I mean, very...
It's
got to be really good. Yeah, it can be.
It can be. It's just not always the case.
I mean, I guess I would say Body Count deserves it. Of all the people on the
so
list,
long.
they've been going for a while. The history behind it, it's just kind of...
Yeah, it was like his friend played guitar, so he's like, fuck it, let's start a metal band.
Yeah.
But first, let me ask Slayer if it's okay. And they said okay. So I did it. And I was like, BC.
Yeah. So our next bit of Grammy news was Van Halen had a section in the In Memoriam, but it was kind of cut short and didn't live up to par from what his son Wolfgang Van Halen said it could have been. He was actually asked to do it, but he politely refused, and he said he didn't feel he could do the song any justice that it deserved. But during the
trying to play Eruption.
Yeah, I wanted him to play Eruption. And during the In Memoriam, they had like a short video snippet of Eddie playing Eruption, and then it kind of had this shot of his guitar on stage, and it slowly panned away from it, and then it continued in the In Memoriam showing more people. So
I don't understand this at all. Like it seemed like I don't know, but it seems like they totally went across it the wrong way, just like adding the fucking Power Trip thing where they didn't do it on merit. They just kind of did it based on like...
Because they have to.
Yeah.
Sort of a thing.
And I get it. I totally get it. But like, why go straight to him and ask him to like, would you want to do this? Why not just get a bunch of people that were friends or super like admirers and like people that are like famous musicians now that grew up listening to him, to everyone get together and cover it, and then ask Eddie like or Wolfgang like, we're doing this with or without you, but we want you as the lead. You know what I mean? Because it's
and like, that have a whole band or just something, play a song,
a super
maybe?
group.
I don't know.
You know what I mean? Like,
but to his point, throughout the In Memoriam, other people had full songs played by like
so everyone covered a Van Halen song.
No, but I mean like so there was Kenny Loggins, he passed away, right? I think so, and he had his song like a song of his done. Like the whole song was performed. So it's like some people had big tributes with a whole, a famous singer singing their song, whereas some people had just pictures, and then other people actually had like Van Halen, for example, had just a guitar on stage with his little video playing. So there were like everybody kind of had weird levels of tribute. So that's
why wouldn't Van Halen just get back together and fucking just have his son fill in for guitar? Yeah. What the fuck? Everyone else is still alive, right? Or is the bass player dead?
No, Wolfgang played bass during the new incarnation,
right?
But the original Michael Anthony, he is alive,
and the drummer is still alive,
and his brother is alive.
And I damn well know David Lee Roth is still alive because everyone would tell me if he was dead. So
you just get Steve Vai or some like famous guitar player to go up there and
just get the original. Do you think it's because David Lee Roth can't do those vocals anymore?
I mean, he did them pretty recently.
And still nailed it.
I think they had to maybe tune down or tune a little bit, but from what I heard, he was killing it.
So then why the fuck didn't they just do that?
Yeah,
that's fucking crazy.
And I've seen video of like David Lee Roth like nailing it while Eddie's like a little off tune here and there. Like David will always be on. So
yeah.
So yeah, that was a little bit of sad tribute news for that one.
On to the next bit.
Yeah. So all done with Grammys news, but for Oscar news.
Oh, let's get into it. I'm going to crack this.
Riz Ahmed was nominated for Best Actor for his role in, what is this movie? Sound of Metal, where he played a metal/punk rock drummer. I personally have not seen this movie. I think it is actually torture to watch this movie for me personally, being a musician. And it's like watching like maybe it would probably make more sense for me just personally to watch it if I'm going through it as like sort of like a healing sort of process movie. Whereas like, I don't know, not having anything.
Chris, let me stop you there.
Yeah, Scott has seen it, so let's get his movie review.
All your excuses were bullshit, and you have to watch it because you're a musician. Case in point. That's it.
Why?
Because you're a musician. Plus, you're in metal.
It's like watching a movie about a person getting cancer from smoking while they do that.
Okay, spoiler alerts. Spoiler alerts. I came into it like that. Yeah. I had to watch it as soon as I knew it was on Amazon. I was like, boom, put it on. That night.
I don't have Amazon, by the way, also, so I can't watch it.
No, good point.
But continue.
Good point. I put it on. I was like, all right, this is definitely going to be like a horror movie to me. I'm a heavy metal drummer.
Yeah. This is everything, Scott. Like, that's why
I've had really bad tinnitus, like a ring in my ears every other day out of nowhere. So it's like, it's the greatest fear on earth, right? Yeah. Especially like, oh my God, just obviously being a musician. Okay. I'm getting a little ahead of myself. So came into it like that. You're like, oh shit, this is totally going to be heartbreaking. This could be like fucking super intense. And then the first song, like that's how the movie starts, is like them playing a song. Don't know what that was. He was just pounding cymbals as hard as he fucking can. Just fucking nailing them. And the song was like an intro. And then it just ended, and that was it. I thought they were gonna have like some cool like music to go with this, like a band made up music for these people to like, and then they just sub in or whatever, you know what I mean? Yeah. So I was like expecting like some original songs. No, that was the only one. As soon as that opening scene of that playing was over, hearing goes out immediately.
Oh, okay.
And then go see an ear doctor. Like,
it just it progressed so rapidly.
It immediately was no longer about music and was like literally just about someone losing their hearing. And what it seemed like is that with that fucking title is that they were insinuating that heavy metal did this to him, or was he born with something like a defect and it was going to happen regardless of what he did as a profession. Second, you shouldn't be hitting the drums that fucking hard. And third, you have an in-ear monitor. You can see it in the opening scene. So you can literally adjust how loud something is. It was like he's playing and his hearing's going out. And you see like they do another performance or something after the beginning. And then it starts going out on stage and he's just playing to like memory. Like he's just looking at like what she's doing and like just we've done this a million times. Like just we're a drummer, stay on time. Don't trip up. And he was like, oh shit, you know, like this is getting worse. Like the whole time I just thought like it was gonna still center around music and he's gonna find some way to still play in music. We talked about the Static X episode, you know, on their new album with their original drummer. He's deaf in his left ear, completely deaf, but he can hear with an in-ear monitor. Our bass player in Flooded Tombs was born with a hearing problem and has lost like 80% of his hearing, and he can still play and do stuff. Like he just protects his ears. It was a little crazy on how far it went, and it just left the whole idea of music behind. Like literally could have done anything else and lost his hearing, and it still would have been the same fucking movie, which really drove me nuts because it had nothing to do with being a drummer and nothing to do with being in a metal band. And it was literally directed by someone that knows nothing about fucking heavy metal at all.
Well,
the actor did a great fucking job.
I was gonna say, I guess the
Dude,
main
he looks
question,
exactly like me.
The main question is, did he do a good job? 'Cause he's nominated for.
He did a fucking
Best
fantastic
actor.
job. He's a really good actor. That's the best part of the movie. The other saving grace of this movie was kind of how it ended.
Yeah.
It was not like a happy ending. So
Okay. Well, that's.
but still, like, how it just felt like a slap in the face to me in what I do as a profession. Like,
Yeah.
I'm a heavy metal drummer in a band, and that's nothing. You explain nothing of what it's like to be a heavy metal drummer in a band, especially like you losing your hearing. Like,
Yeah.
please explain that it was like a birth defect, or were you saying it was heavy metal that made him lose his hearing? Because I don't understand that.
Yeah. Was it the music or was it just natural? Could have been. Yeah. Maybe both a little bit. But
Brian, whatever the fuck, from AC/DC, what happened to him? They said, you gotta stop. You're gonna lose your hearing forever.
I think he did just like
Did some
different
therapy,
exercises,
some shit, yeah.
something. I mean,
It
I don't. It
saw
will
an
never
ear
come
doctor?
back, but it's just
But you can
working with
protect what you still have left. I don't, that's why I was like, what?
Yeah.
Even an ear monitor you won't be able to hear? Or like, fucking be like Beethoven, man. Like, feel the vibrations. Like, put an amplifier under your seat. You know what I mean? Like, I don't fucking know.
Yeah.
So I was really disappointed, and I've heard other drummers be like, that was such a good movie. And I was like, you're a shitty drummer.
Well, he is the first Muslim
I hated
actor to be nominated as well. So that's
He's a
sort
fucking
of
great actor,
a,
dude.
achievement right there. First Muslim, but also
I'm sure he was
they
too
kind of-
busy to actually learn how to play drums, because that's all you see is him like doing that weird drum thing where he's
Yeah.
just smashing cymbals, and it's like so basic. It's like whole notes, and he's just pounding. And then when he's shredding, the camera like pans away, and you like hear it from like the outside of like the RV, but he's like ripping it, dude. But I was like, oh, he didn't play that. He's busy. He didn't learn
Yeah,
how to.
I mean, act,
It takes fucking years and decades.
Probably why you didn't see a lot of it.
I think that guy from fucking Whiplash, though, actually learned how to play. So I'm just saying. I don't know. Amazon, fuck you.
Well, that concludes all of our news segments for this episode.
So let's get into the new shit.
Yeah, we got some new releases this month that are kind of sticking out. We got
Oh, man.
I Hate God with let's see, what's the album called again? What's right here? A History of Nomadic Behavior. And let's see, what album number is that? 6. It is their 6th album. Don't have very much info on it besides the people that are still in the band now. So Mike Williams, vocals, Jimmy Bauer on guitars,
Bauer Power.
and then Joey Lacaze on Aaron Hill on drums, that is. And then Gary Mader on bass. Oops. And so, I mean, I've listened to a few of the songs from it. It's slowly growing on me. You know, slowly.
Seems a little bit faster than what I'm normally,
It's
associate with I Hate God.
yeah, it does kind of go a little bit all over. I was kind of strumming through, or looking through their albums and stuff, and hang on, mine is actually freezing up here for some reason. Oh, here we go. And this album had like some information about it, and they said that basically during the 7 years since the last album, the band, the vocalist Mike, became ill, underwent a liver transplant, and then he's like not. He's back. He almost died, he said, and so it feels like a comeback.
Holy fuck, bro.
Yeah, and then he basically like wrote the lyrics to the album, but they're all over the place. He said it's more about a feeling of how words sound together. So it's not like,
About anything at all.
Yeah.
It's just
So
some stuff to put on to like forget about all
Like
the bullshit around you and just like just sit there and enjoy.
It's more of a feeling.
Yeah.
That's why to describe the album.
Just
It's
enjoy
more
the
of a
song.
feeling instead of something to take literally and like you just feel the music. So
I can't fucking stand that sometimes when people are, I'm like, I fucking hate this song. And they're like, but you got to hear the lyrics. And I'm like, who the fuck cares what the lyrics are if the song sucks?
yeah, I think that's
don't
why
give a fuck what
I
you're-
like it. Is
Yeah.
like, I'm not really listening to the lyrics too much. I'm like just listening how it feels and the words are flowing.
That's how I normally listen to stuff because me being a drummer and everything, I really just I home in on those things and then learn the lyrics for songs like 20 years after knowing the song. I was like, I didn't know that's what the lyrics were. You know what I mean? Like I had no idea. I drum to songs. I don't really sing to songs unless some songs I just know by heart. But yeah, we're listening to it in the background right now, and I didn't know we were gonna do this format, so I didn't have a chance to listen to all these things. I focused in on like 5 albums.
It's nice
but
to
this
have
was
it.
not in it.
It's nice to have it playing in the background and talking about it because you're just kind of.
Yeah,
I mean, for me too, it's a lot of this stuff like we're gonna talk about. I haven't maybe listened to in a while, but you still kind of have like a understanding. Like you have some previous knowledge of I Hate God, so it's like coming into the
saw
new.
them in concert.
Yeah, me too.
It was like 3 p.m. on the hottest day ever, just like in direct sunlight. I was like, I'd rather fucking die than be here right now.
Listen to some sludge.
Just melting my mind.
Yeah.
I was waiting for Cannibal Corpse.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean that came out. Let's see, what day did that release? I don't have a day here. Do you have it on yours? I think it was
A day?
yeah.
March 12th.
Okay, so that
Yeah,
was
what's up,
when
Spotify?
Yeah, Wikipedia. You ain't got shit on Spotify. No. So yeah, that give it a listen. If anybody's out there into sludge, I think we
enjoying it.
personally kind of
Yeah.
like it. So, and have liked the band. Yeah.
This is something you can, I guess, clean your house to. You can just forget about this altogether.
for
Just walk. Like, I'm not sure if I remember any song off the album, but I remember liking the album.
Yeah, I think it's a solid album. So, moving on, we got the King of Shock currently.
Yeah. The
Rob-
master of the scoff.
Yeah. Rob Zombie with the Lunar Injection Kool-Aid Eclipse Conspiracy. Just say that 5 times fast.
You know what? No one else is going to have these fucking album titles.
No.
You know, some albums have the same fucking titles.
I know the
or
last
songs.
one, The Electric Warlock, Acid with Satan Orgy.
Even his songs. You can't even, no one's going to have any of this.
For real. The
And
song.
it was funny. He was like, because everyone always like, it was the greatest
How do you write that
stand-up
set list
joke.
out? What does that set list look like? Is it just like
Abbreviations?
Yeah, like
Yeah. Or you haven't someone else type that shit up.
holy
like,
moly, it's
not
color
doing it by
coordinated.
pen and shit.
Something.
Oh my
Shit.
But that was like the greatest joke ever. Is that like if you're clever enough, you can just like make up those Rob Zombie titles like Electric Twizzler Bungaloo 64.
Jesus,
You know, it's
yeah.
like okay, you know what I
Yeah.
mean. But it sounds like nonsense, but there's actually like all the meaning of the song or like what the song is about is in that nonsense title. You
Yeah.
know, even like this whole album, it all makes sense if you listen to the entire thing. You're like, I totally get the what the hell, you know? The say it again.
What?
The
the name or the title, the
Yeah.
Lunar Injection Kool-Aid Eclipse Conspiracy.
Ooh, just rolls right off the tongue.
Oh,
it really does though, but it's like really hard to remember. And it was funny too. He was like, yeah, no other album's gonna have this title, but it's very easy to like forget what the title of that album was when you walk away.
Yeah.
You're like, his new one, I don't know, the latest one, the Lunar. I'm just
Yeah.
gonna call it the Lunar.
So
I've been having fun with this album, to be honest. It's 17 songs.
it's long, but again,
Not
some
really,
of them are
it's
like
41 minutes, yeah.
27 seconds for here.
You got some
59,
interludes.
56. Yeah, there's like weird.
You got an intro song.
And you still got the same band as the previous album, so it's everybody. I'm pretty sure. Double check on
Yeah,
that,
I think this has been the same band since 2007?
Let's see, we got it right here.
2018.
2012. Or a little bit 2011, 2012, this band. You got Rob, Johnny Five, Piggy D, and Gingerfish. And they
So
have
the Gingerfish
been
thing
going.
is like, it's not like, I almost popped out. Oh, we almost got shut down. So the Gingerfish thing was kind of interesting because he would always fill in, like live.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And before that, if you look on this, Joey Jorgensen was in this fucking band.
2010, just a very short album.
Yeah. And John Tempest, the original drummer and the original drummer for White Zombie, one of my favorite drummers. When I got my first drum set, there was like a VHS tape to like how to set your drum set up. And he was one of the drummers that like showed me.
Gingerfish?
No, John Tempest.
Okay.
Yeah. And Tempest?
Tempesta.
I say the whitest way you could possibly say that. I love that drummer. Fucking amazing drummer. Always just like lick. And then the Joey thing was fucking really interesting. It shows that he was in it like at 2011, Gingerfish, but really just filling in. I think 2018 or somewhere around there, he actually like joined the band officially.
We did
and like put a statement out.
He did so many albums with them before then. It's ridiculous. Or he did like these are like I guess EPs or live albums, and these dark ones would be the main release. So he did 2 main.
And then exactly
this one.
Mm-hmm. And like
So,
live DVDs, like
Yeah.
that's what Gingerfish was always like. Kind of he did outside of being in Manson's band. Why he kind of had to leave as well was because he didn't like. No one likes to tell the drummer what the fuck is going on. It's just like, oh, and you're on. It's like, well,
Yeah.
I have a life. You know, you can't just be like 2 months before a tour or whatever. We're like, where are you going on tour now? So he had to like leave so he can like do other things, and it's so weird to have like half of Marilyn Manson's band.
I know, it's
and
like-
Rob Zombie, especially when I went to go see him on tour, like
And they played
I think
together
2 years ago. Yeah,
So they were wheeling and dealing some some discussions.
Might have to be
there.
some like hard feelings, but I think at this point, like they're old enough to like put that shit aside, and like
Yeah.
these are 2 very successful. Let's just say one now. Is very successful.
One's a little controversial.
Fuck.
Really controversial.
Yeah. What the fuck?
So,
But the Rob Zombie thing, like, dude, every album is like,
it's solid again.
dude,
It's
you
like,
could put it on at a party.
Yeah. It's one of those.
The albums that we're talking about today, I can only think of maybe like 2 that we can actually put on at a party.
Yeah.
And this was number 1 at the top because, and it's so interesting. It's very experimental, but at the same time, it like stays classic Rob Zombie, where like he has his own style, right? So it's gonna be like this groovy, funky.
It's everyone else in the band, like you're saying, Gingerfish and Johnny Five, like these people adding these like weird guitar funky elements that,
you can tell they listen to other styles
Yeah.
of music that they're influenced by, and it reflects into
Yeah.
But Rob Zombie's always been like still heavy,
kind of not basic. I don't want to say, but it's like you're saying, it's part. It doesn't need to be overcomplicated.
Yeah.
So
And he's I think at this point like really homing in what his sound is, like, because he can just do this again like a year from now and be like, sounds like a Rob Zombie album to me, and why wouldn't people listen to it? There's always like some good songs. It's well thought out, to be honest.
it's kind of like the feeling thing, like the I Hate God album.
Yeah.
It's like it's more about a feeling than maybe what he's saying and talking about. It's like the feeling of the song just grooving. And,
Yeah.
Yeah.
I fell off with Rob Zombie just because like I listened to him so much when I was a kid, and then when I got older,
what happens.
Yeah, I was getting into more mature music. But Rob Zombie, every time I go back, and listen to like something that came out like I didn't know about, or even the Hellbilly Deluxe 2, which I think at this point is pretty old. Really fun, really good.
Yeah.
Every time I'm just like, oh fuck, it's not bad, And to be honest, most of these bands are like this. I'm not going back to listen to Disturbed, but I'll definitely go back and listen to that new Korn album just because, like why not? Like I'm in.
Give it a shot.
I'm unemployed. Why not? Like I have time. And then the new Manson stuff was always, pretty good too. He's kind of being like a David Bowie type, like more songwriter. But Rob's just still going, dude.
Yeah.
And I'm like, do it, dude.
Keep going, man.
Do it, dude.
Yeah.
Fucking do it. He was in I didn't know he was in Guardian of the Galaxy 2 as like the voice over the ship command.
Oh, really?
Like right before they go like all whoop ass on the crew. On the
prison thing?
Yeah, where they were like, it was like Groot and fucking Rocket and
he's on top. It's like the
I
first
forget
time.
the blue guy's name.
Oh no, fuck.
Whistle.
Wandu.
Wandu.
No.
Wandu. I don't fucking.
Fuck.
Yeah.
I don't know. Been watching too much Marvel already, so all my names are jumbled.
Yeah, I know. Yondu.
Yondu.
I'm gonna go. I'm
There
gonna
it
say
is.
that. I'm gonna say
That's
that.
it. That's it. I was close.
Love
right.
Rob Zombie.
Yeah. So go check out those two albums. Those are the big main new releases this month that I would say are notable. Or not this month, but I guess up into today, which is the 18th.
Right, halfway
when
through the
we're
month.
recording this.
Yeah.
So
And there'll be some more coming out towards
Yeah.
the end.
yeah,
Well, I'm looking forward to it.
for sure.
All right.
So now we're gonna start talking about some albums that are celebrating their special day.
I'll celebrate special album day. Happy birthday album.
Yeah.
First up on the chopping block, we're way past it, like 15
Yeah.
days, but
Came
God
out on the
damn
3rd,
it.
but I think it
It's-
just
yeah.
needs a little bit of a. Just got to talk a little bit about
a
this.
little
one. Just
bit
little
about
bit
a
this one.
35th
35th anniversary of.
Metallica's Master of Puppets.
Oh yes,
Dun, dun.
yes. Battery.
Probably one of my favorite. Yeah, one of my favorite, if not maybe my favorite.
That, like I said, that battery, that first song hits you hard. The whole album is
really
a
love that
classic.
song.
I mean, it's literally it's in the the Library of Congress per preservation of National Recording Registry for being culturally, historically, and aesthetically significant. It's the first metal record to do this. So
What
it is
the
pretty
fuck?
significant in that it is something that when, if all shit was to blow up, this would be some music that's left.
Yeah.
You know.
And it's hard to like think about it when it have the mindset of like when it first came out. Like I'm 33, so 2 years
Just 2
before I was
years,
even
right,
fucking
people were
was
just
born.
jamming on this.
Yeah, but when I get the context of Metallica, I'm already old, and I'm
Old,
getting
yes,
older,
yes.
and they're old, and I just never really gave two fucks about Metallica back in the day when I was younger. I was like, it's like, oh, everyone loves it, so
It
I
gets
kind of
taken for
hate
granted
it.
a little bit,
Yeah, because everyone loves it, and so I have to. So they're like, oh, you like metal, you like Metallica, and I'm like, yeah, it's fine, but why the fuck are we always talking about this? And it kind of made me hate it, but the older I get, the more I like appreciate it. Like going back and listening to this album again, like it makes me appreciate it way more than when I was younger, when some old guy was like, you gotta listen to this album, man. This is where, you like thrash metal, this is where it was born. I'm like, oh, God damn it, get out of my fucking face with this. But no, they are right. It's like that Beatles thing where it's like everyone fucking loves it.
I mean, there is a reason, and there
And there is a reason,
yeah.
because it's good.
I mean, love or hate Metallica for like the business and everything that they kind of have on their back for just being in the metal community. Love or hating them for whatever reason, but
It broke a lot of walls
yeah.
down for bands. They were the first in
again,
their
just the
field to
first.
do a lot.
Like they're the first. They kind of like, I mean, I relate things to skateboarding, right? Tony Hawk is kind of the flag bearer of the sport because it's kind of a niche thing. He, everyone associates him with that. You say, that kind of a thing. Everyone
Right.
associates metal with Metallica, and they are the flag bearers for the genre. Regardless if we like it or not, we need them to succeed for all of us to succeed. So
Yeah, and fucking poor Lars Ulrich gets shit on so much by people for like, he's not that good of a drummer. I was like, let me tell you right now, anyone that's been playing for 40 fucking plus year, they're amazing. They're phenomenal, and they're better than a lot of fucking people.
Mm-hmm.
Like, how can Lars not be a phenomenal drummer?
yeah.
The amount of shows that he's performed, even if he wasn't good when he first started, he is fucking legend now.
Are there other drummers
and
that are
practice.
better? Sure, but it's not.
And
that's not the
who's
the
arguing
thing.
that.
Yeah.
Like, you can't even argue those two things because it comes down to style and
Exactly.
personality
It's
behind
those
a
like
drum
late
set,
drum
you know what I
hits
mean?
he does. It's those like
Yeah.
missing the snare hit and then coming late with it. It's his little style that adds to
Yeah.
the genre.
And it's funny because if you know, like me being a drummer and like think and knowing about like how drums work or how they were quote unquote supposed to work, because that's a bunch of bullshit. The idea is to learn all the rules and then you know how to break rules.
You
and
just learn the fundamentals and then
you can break them and like get crazy on time signatures or do whatever.
I mean, he's doing basic shit
yeah.
here where it's just like
he didn't know shit, but like it made his style. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like it made this really weird, awkward style where like I try to like, you know, cover some of these songs where I'm not used to his style. I'm like, oh, I'm not. Yeah. And I'm better off playing a Slayer song, and that sounds crazy. You know what I mean? But I'm more of a conduce to his style. Same thing with like Sepultura, as long as it's not like Arise, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Or Beneath the Remains, because I'm not even touching those songs. I'm like, no. But Battery is another song where it's like, we were joking about it at band practice. We were like, why don't we cover Battery? It's like, dude, it's a lot to learn.
It's a lot.
It's a lot to learn.
And like even now,
a lot of fucking pieces.
They play it a little slower than like the recorded version or even old live versions. Like it's a fast song. Like
really fucking
like
fast.
it's really fast.
It's super addicting, and it's gonna be stuck in your head if you listen to it, even the first minute.
You know, it's just all those things. It's amazing. They're still doing it to this day. They're still, you know, they have filled in the bass section with somebody really great. They're a really good live band to this day. They sound great. I mean,
this is also the last album you have with, you know, legendary bass player.
Cliff
Burton. I was like, how am I forgetting names today? Cliffy, yeah. Last album with him, you know? So it goes down in the historical books as this is like one of the last thing he's got to do, you know? Like one of the last albums he got to perform on it and play before they move on and then have to, you know, get a different bass player and torture him because of what happened to this one kind of scenario.
Yeah.
I don't know what the fuck happened with that whole Jason fucking, I don't know. But yeah, crazy. I didn't really know that, but I kind of knew that. But I wasn't really, again, not being the biggest Metallica fan in the world, I didn't know where to place these albums. You know, it's like, oh, everyone's heard it, but I didn't know where it was in the fucking scale. If you said it was their fifth album, I'd be like, sure, you know?
Their third one.
Yeah.
And it's pretty, I mean, we got to think they just kill them all and then one more and then we're here. And it's like, holy shit, you know, for how significant even those first albums.
I know.
And then this one is that significant, even more significant than those. It's like, holy moly, okay.
I know, and in 1986 too, like just everything else that's happening around it at the same time too. It's like, ooh, shit.
Yeah.
Shit is brewing, you know what I mean?
And
thrash metal is just rising to the top.
Yeah. You go see Metallica today.
To die in 2 years after.
They're probably playing most of this album. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
They're probably going to play almost the whole album. So,
because again, this is like the biggest. It's always what people say. I only like their old stuff, you know. And Metallica was probably the first band you ever. Yeah, Metallica was probably the first band anyone's ever said that about. It was like I only like their old stuff. I think that was like literally the first band that started that because it's like hell yeah, and Justice for All, and then Black Album. So what up?
Yeah, and then that's 35th anniversary. It's a good one to.
Oh my God! There's probably like a documentary,
so much, there's
like on VH1. It's like
again,
classic albums.
It's hard to do every album the justice it deserves, but got to talk about it. 35 years. That's fucking a long time.
And if you want to go back and listen to our Injustice for All episode, we really deep dive down
it's the album after this one.
Yeah. So. With all the members and we had to talk about the prior albums because of why. You know, Injustice for All was made the way it was made and why it was just trying to get back to it, really. You know what I mean? After the devastation of losing a fucking band member. Yep. Because most bands would probably just break up. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's fucking hard to go on. So tip of the hat to them that they still play to this day. And no matter what anyone says, they are the kings of their domain.
And that was March 12th, 1986. Or March 3rd, sorry.
Yeah,
right?
I was like,
March 12th. Oh, the next one is not 12th. But it
You're
is.
thinking about that.
I'm thinking about the Rob Zombie. Yeah.
The I Hate God.
The releases come out on the 12th. That's a weird thing. How
So
like
you're trying to find this calendar thing.
But how they like time releases. That's pretty.
It's always supposed to be on a Tuesday.
Like a Tuesday or something.
It's always supposed to be on a Tuesday.
Seems like you need to space that shit out because then things get
all media gets
it's like specific days games come out. It's like ugh.
So Thursday is supposed to be movies, right? Pretty much technically it's supposed to be Friday,
night,
but like at midnight it's supposed to be technically Friday. I think the same thing for games. Well, games is in its own thing, but it has like its own
Fridays.
day. I don't know if we still do that shit anymore. No one's lining up.
Nobody's going outside. Yeah. So moving on to the next release, we got 2 Meshuggah releases coming out this month.
And this is going to happen because bands like work on a time schedule, and their time schedules seem to jump back to that same date. You make the album, it takes this long to make it, you go on tour, and then 2 to 3, 4 years later, like clockwork, even on the same month, you go back in there, and then by the time it's done, it comes out in March.
Yep.
Plus, there's release time. So, what was it like in the beginning of spring, right? And then November, October, or somewhere around there, like for fall, right?
Yeah.
For the Christmas
There's
thing.
like slow months, slow season. And then we kind of were falling into that for the past several months too, where, the beginning of the year can sometimes be pretty slow when it comes to like just releases and anniversaries. And I mean, this year has a lot of stuff coming up, but it's not till, already a third into the year, start getting, that new Gojira. We're probably going to get that Cannibal Corpse.
Plus, we've been in like quarantine for a year prior, so no touring from bands. So plenty of time to work on new music.
Yeah, this year's just kind of been fucked.
But new releases of music across the board.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, this could be great. You know what I mean? Because everyone had time, we weren't planning on, coming out with an album until like 2 years from now, but we thought we have the time. Let's do it. Yeah. I've heard that fucking from so many fucking musicians. They're like, well, we were going to do a tour, but I understand what happened. So we just decided to work on the album.
The first Meshuggah album we're going to kind of talk about is Obzen, which came out on the 7th of March, 2008. March to October 2007 recorded, and they produced it themselves on Nuclear Blast.
Fun fact, they produce all their own albums, at least the ones in the 2010s
I think you kind of need
up.
to if you're
I'm not sure about their older stuff.
Fucking technical. I think it's like, who can understand you? Who understands you?
No one.
Bring somebody in here that understands us. No.
I mean, you'll have an engineer, and that's what I've seen on some of these albums. Yeah. But even that, I looked at prior albums, and they just showed the band members as any personnel.
Yeah, they do a lot of shit themselves.
The drummer does pretty much all the artwork for the albums. You know what I mean? So this album, fun fact about the artwork. How do you say the name of this?
Obzen.
Obzen. I was saying it right. It's just I was like, is that a fucking word, or did I just make that shit up? It was really fun because I found out how it was made. It's the only one that the drummer, Thomas, hasn't done himself. And this is an actual photograph. And if anyone is just, the listeners, if you need to go see a picture of this, you can just Google Meshuggah Obzen. I think it's Obzen. Mm-hmm. And then Meshuggah, good luck with that. You can sound it out. But it's an actual picture of a person. But it's multiple people. The legs are a female's legs. And they didn't want any muscle structure or breast in it because it's this whole Zen thing.
Yeah.
And it has everything to do with how the album is. Oh my God.
I know.
Anyone that's heard this album.
Into some weird
Anyone that has heard this album knows exactly what I'm talking about when I say it's so Zen. It's so peaceful to listen to, even though it's so crazy and the time scales are all over the place and it's wacky, but there is a certain bliss about every part where nothing feels like it's painful like a Cannibal Corpse song. You know what I mean? this all feels like really groovy. That's all they ever do is just groove. It's just groove after groove. You know what I mean?
That's funny you say that about this album. And then the next album that we're going to talk about is the one that followed this, where I think they kind of took a complete opposite approach, where it's like, we want this to be the most like jarring, heavy, in your face, punch you sort of thing ever.
And you're exactly right on that. I mean, and they literally, you know exactly what they're trying to get at as soon as you listen to like pretty much half of the album. You're like, I know exactly what they were trying to get at here.
Break those bones whose sinews gave it motion. Like there's some just names. I am Colossus. Like names that are just
that one
like
just beat you.
Yeah,
and it starts off so slow too, and it speeds up to like what you think of like normal like fuck. Why am I saying
like BPM?
Well, not the BPM, but just your normal Meshuggah.
Oh, okay.
Like, when you think of Meshuggah in your head, you kind of always think of Bleed, like anyone else. It's going to go down as one of the most legendary metal songs of all time by far. It's talked about all the time in the drum community.
Yeah, it's
one of those, like, drum teacher reacts to Bleed, or, like, kids react to the song Bleed by Meshuggah, you know, or old people listen to Bleed by Meshuggah. It's like, everyone in the world needs to hear this song kind of thing, and that's where the internet's kind of like, have you heard this fucking shit? Even Bill Burr was like not a fan of heavy metal, but like saw them in concert just at random and was like blown away. It was like, I'm a huge fan of Meshuggah now, because it's like he's a drummer as well. Fun fact, you know, it's insane hearing that song Bleed. Who wouldn't love it? It's so fucking good. Their solos feel like they're from outer space. It's like,
I don't know how they do the solos.
I was gonna ask you, how the fuck do they do that?
Insane. It's like, I don't know.
I know they play like 8 to 9 string guitars.
And they play to like their whole show. I know like their live stuff is all coordinated to like a click, and even their guitar effects, everything that happens in the middle of the song and throughout the whole set is programmed to happen, so they have to hit their marks. Like if the guitar player has like a delay sound on, he has to be on that solo because that delay sound is automated and it's going to cut on and off at certain points, and he has to be on those points in the song and listen in.
So it's all up to the drummer to keep it there, buddy.
There's like literally nobody touches anything, sort of a thing. You go on stage and you perform. You don't touch anything.
No pedals.
All your effects are going to get turned on automatically, and then you just but you got to remember everything, and it's all timing.
The master of the clock.
That's why I think they're underrated in some ways, because people look at that and they're like, blah, blah, blah.
I don't know who would underrate this. It's like any music fan or metal fan looks at this and they're going to be like, they're going to be one of the most legendary metal bands of all time.
They don't get the credit they maybe deserve, I guess.
They're going to get it over time. Yeah. Believe me, like 20 years from now, people are still going to be talking about this shit. 50 years from now, people are still going to be talking about this shit, dude. It's never going to be forgotten because there's nothing else like it. There's no two bands.
We've had friends fall asleep in the middle of their show.
It's very blissful. It's full of zen.
Had a friend fall asleep front row Meshuggah show.
I mean, it feels good when you listen to it. I can imagine.
Zen, and
it was in 2012, I think.
I think they were playing this album.
Dude, and
they were playing,
we weren't even fans of the band at the time, and I'm like, we're here to see Ministry, and all these kids were like, we're here to see Meshuggah.
Yeah.
And then all those kids fucking left as soon as Meshuggah was done, and we're like the same age as those kids, but we're here to see the old man band?
Yeah.
We're dumb.
Yeah.
Because we totally didn't appreciate this when we had
it
that
at
time.
The moment, yeah. I knew of them, and it was like, this is cool.
I remember what it looked like, though.
I
was just staring at this band like, what?
It was almost like watching a robot.
It's because I've never heard it before. And it was like it was too much to process the first time, especially live. I was like, is this music? I don't
for real.
Is this fucking music?
And then you get Ministry, which is like, what the fuck is that?
Great lineup nowadays for me. That would have been like, I'm fucking going.
Yeah, it's two completely weird different bands.
Yeah.
So, and then the second album we were kind of talking about was...
Well, hold on. Back to this...
Well, we can talk about both.
Okay, let's just talk about both.
Because they're literally back-to-back albums.
It's 4 years
2008.
later.
But I mean release-wise...
It's like after you make your magnus opus, it's like, what do I do? It took 4 years. Actually, fun fact, too, they had to leave the tour that they were on with Dillinger Escape Plan in 2012 because the album took so goddamn long to make.
Jesus. This one?
The Obzin.
Oh,
No, the
Obzin,
Obzin,
okay.
where it's like it was the longest album ever. It took 6 months to record, and
I bet.
dude, Thomas was like, it took him like just as long to learn the whole album that it did just to learn Bleed. Like Bleed took like months to learn, when the rest of the album was like just as long just to learn.
Yeah, that one song.
If I explain that well, it's like,
I get it, yeah.
and another fun fact. So Bleed is a Herta beat on his on the double kicks. So a Herta, let me break it down in layman's term. For anyone that knows anything, it's 8 on 1. So on your left hand, so do an 8 count, or like a eighth notes, if you will, and just like, and then you have to do 16ths on the other hand. So you're very coordinated.
Yeah.
And what does that kind of sound like? The opening for Too Hot for Teacher. It's the same thing, except he's doing it on his feet, and it's like a duck on water, right? It's like a duck swimming, like his feet just going a million mile and just calm on top, because that is just like, tss, da. But the feet are like, da, 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 da,
yes,
da, 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 and it's just like fucking grooving up. He's like, not a lot of rolls, just some sweet cymbal hits, great timing. But yeah, the Herta, I was actually going to do a little bit of research. I just forgot, was like, how many songs in history were created using the Herta, which is just a drum lick, if you will. I don't know another way of saying it, progression. That I'm fascinated by it. Everyone talked about it for the longest time in the drum community when Eddie Van Halen passed away, because we won't roll more time right back to Too Hot for Teacher, because it's like, oh my God, that's how iconic that song is. Well, that song was recorded using 3 different drum sets, like 3 different drums being played all at the same time. Plus, it was like 2 bass drums in front of the other bass drums. It was ridiculous on how they actually had to record it in the studio. So no one in the world can play it live. Apparently, it takes 3 drummers. Apparently, so unless you're Thomas, how do you say his last name?
Hawk.
I guess it's just Hawk.
That's what I always thought. I don't know. Maybe it's Hake. It's another country type name, so I'm not even going to butcher people's names on this.
Yeah, I mean, Kidsman, pretty easy. The singer, that's fucking got that. Is that Swedish too? What the fuck? Swedish.
So that second album is Kolos, and that was the 23rd of March, 2012. 4 years, right, in between.
Mm-hmm.
So, and that one's the one that's a little bit more brutal in my mind, as far as like sound and energy wise. But definitely just still is heavy. Still is like,
it was slower than I thought.
Yeah.
Like it was gonna be, because like even their albums before, like Catch 13 or Catch 33 and Nothing, those were like what I always think about when I think of Meshuggah. But this one was a little bit like, whoa, it was weird hearing Colossus. I Am Colossus, the very first opening track, where I was like, this is cool, but it was like not what I was expecting. And then it does pick up over time. The slower songs are so well thought out.
Yeah, there's some really...
Those are like the best parts of this album, I think, are like the very beginning of the album. And then it kind of goes back to classic Meshuggah.
Yeah.
Which, how the fuck did they play those goddamn solos, dude?
Don't even know.
So out of time. Yeah. So like
wacky. Everything's just weird. It's
you think they're insane writing down scales and like numbers and like progressions and drum beats, like, and then they're like, okay, this is what we're gonna play. Like, how the fuck do you navigate that style? It has to be just what comes out of them. Like they're not sitting down there mapping out this song like 5, 2, 6, 1. It's like, we're gonna play this twice. We're gonna do that 4 times.
Yeah.
We're gonna do this twice and 6 times. You know what I mean? I think it's just naturally happening. They just kind of jam. It comes out this way, and then they go back in and kind of like tweak it to make it more like legible and understanding. And it has to be.
Lots of jamming.
It has to be.
Lots of jamming, for sure.
Otherwise, I don't fucking know. Yeah. Slowly becoming one of my favorite bands of all time. Obzin. Am I saying Obzin?
So good.
Greatest fucking album one
like
of the
you're saying, it's
greatest
probably
fucking albums
maybe
I've
is
ever
their
heard.
magnum, maybe their like best piece of work to date.
From start to finish,
Some
dude.
would say, but
From start to finish.
I think if you you could find something like that. If you like Obzin, you'll find a bit of that on each album, in the sense of like one maybe being a more brutal.
Oh, yeah.
That first album being a little bit more slimmed down, almost like a different band. Almost, it's like
But it just makes me want to like listen to their other albums after.
yeah.
You know, I listen to
I've never
Obs and I'm
heard
just
the-
become so obsessed with it, and
this
then I'm
new
like, I
one.
gotta come out.
Pitch Black. Oh, it's only a sing. Okay,
Yeah, so
this one
they're gonna be coming out with a new album this year as well.
Oh shit!
I mean, everyone has time. That's what I'm saying. Like,
Their
what
last
are you
album
talking
was
about?
really good too. This one, Violence, Reason of Sleep, I believe.
I mean,
Violence, Sleep of Reason.
That's another great thing. This band for me especially is that I haven't like listened to all their
Dug
albums, like
into it, yeah.
bastardized them and just fucking every day. I think I would probably like go brain dead or become the smartest man in the world if I listened to it every day. But I have so much still there to like dive into, and I love that. It's like I always have something new
New
to find
stuff.
from this band, and I'm never gonna be like, you know, like I've listened to all of Rage Against the Machine's albums and there's nothing new. You know what I mean? So,
Well, a band we have beaten to death. It
Oh
seems
my
like,
God.
especially on this podcast.
and
Some
I
would
beat
say
it to
this
death
is a
on my Spotify as well.
some would say this is a Sepultura podcast because we've talked about this band so goddamn much.
It's our favorite band now.
But we do have 2 releases for this month for Sepultura, and I mean, they're both pretty big anniversaries. We've talked about one before.
One is a huge anniversary,
and that is Roots.
the 25th anniversary. We did a whole episode on it.
Yeah, that was at March 12th, 1996. So that is the 25th anniversary. Like you said, we did a whole episode
Last
which
year.
should go listen to that because we kind of dive into
How the album,
That
was
album,
created,
yeah.
what happened after the album.
kind of that era of Sepultura too, because
And oh my god, the landmark that this made, like it's another, if you were making the timeline of metal and rock and roll, this would be one of the stamps that you would have to
yeah.
talk about. Like we had to stop here on the tour to talk about an album that some would say is the very first new metal sound ever.
Yeah.
That kind of coined this whole thing, that used the drop D tuning. It was a whole different Sepultura that we were used to, but at the same time had a lot of like still like the Earth AD Sepultura still inside of it.
Yeah.
But this album was so different Sepultura to where this style was copied time and time again after this album.
set the tone for what was
Especially Soulfly is everything. Like if Sepultura was going to keep going with Max, it would have just been Soulfly sounding. You know what I mean? Like it would have just been those songs. You know what I mean? But like they had to go on different paths, which it happened because of like you know, Max's wife being the manager, a brother
Max
band.
also said that it was hell, sort of the whole his whole experience. So I mean,
It wasn't a good time to be in a band anyways. It was in the early 90s. You had you were getting raped by the record studios. You were on tour, you're tired. And if you're not on tour, then you're right back in the fucking studio making another album. Otherwise, you get dropped from your label. You know what I mean? It's like they just work their asses off back then. Nowadays, you can wait 3 to 4 years to make an album. You didn't have to do one every year.
Yeah. And we talked mainly about just Roots in that era of Sepultura, and then we also did the latest Sepultura album, which had Derek singing, and it was basically a whole new band, right?
We still have the guitar player,
Yes.
Adrius, and Paula,
Yes.
the bass player. So
But those were kind of two ends of a coin, and we were kind of not touching in the middle era. We haven't talked really about the middle era albums so much, which is where you still have Igor, you still have pretty much everybody in the band.
So
but
you have like Simple
Max.
Nation. You know,
Yes.
you have this album that we're going to talk about in a second, Dante's Inferno. What was that first one? What was it? Roarback. Roarback and Against, I think, was like the second one. It was kind of like probably lost a lot of fans when they got a new singer. It's kind of like their sound is changing. Plus, it's the early 90s at this point, so best of luck to you on finding what the fuck is going on there.
Yeah. I mean, this album is also relevant. It's the last one to have
Late 90s.
Igor on it. So this is where we start to get those multiple drummers. Sepultura is going through that change in sound. Like you said, we had Max kind of usher us in to everything with Roots. He, you know, how many albums do we get after that? We get, that's his last one. We get Against Right, where the band is got a new singer, trying to find themselves. I think by the time we get to Dante, which is the last album of that incarnation of the band.
It's like 4 albums after losing Max.
I think they're hitting on all cylinders. Dante is one of my favorite albums. In those 4,
changed everything for me. It made me go back to listen to Nation, to Against, to Roarback, just because I loved it.
Fucking good. Every song on that album is a slapper.
Starts off with like dark entrance,
oh my
right?
God, it's so good. You should kick some on right now because I'm getting the itch for it right now.
So thank God, Spotify. I don't know because if it's its birthday. This album's birthday, but they just finally put it on here. Maybe they put it on last year.
Yeah.
But when I, had Spotify, and I can remember probably last year looking for it, or sometime a while back looking for it, I was just like, they don't have this album in their Sepultura because I know this because I go through Sepultura's discography all the time. It's my jamming songs when I practice drums. A lot of them.
City of Dis is one of my favorites. I mean, there's so many fucking good jams on this song or in this album. Came out, the March 14th, 2006. So it is the 15th anniversary of this album, which you had 25 for 25 for Roots, 15 for this one.
Why they did that.
What? Oh, the little Huh. So again, the last one to feature Igor, but it is just a slapper. When it comes to drums, when it comes to guitar riffs, vocals, the album is based on Dante's Inferno, so every song is kind of like these layers, describing all the layers and stuff. It is one of those conceptual masterpieces in my mind. We're trying to get some music for us in here, but yeah, I mean, let's see, 50,000 copies in Brazil. That's quite a lot.
This ain't working.
Let's see here. Try it in this one. It looks like nothing's coming out. Is it not playing?
It's playing.
Huh? All right. Well, there we go. Okay. So yeah, I mean, I don't see any charting here in the U.S., but still, really good album. Definitely go listen to it.
So it's a concept album about obviously Dante's Inferno, the traveling through hell and all 7 layers, done in music form by one of my favorite bands, Sepultura.
Yeah,
and one of the last albums, like you said, to have Igor Calavera, which is a huge influence of mine, like megatons. Like, it's just how his drum style and how, when I listened to it when I was a kid, I was fascinated. And it was like, made a huge impact on me. And he showed me how to do like things like the skank beat, you know what I mean? Like this.
Yeah.
And it was like him. It was like, I fucking learned that from him and like Dave Lombardo. I was like, I fucking got it. You know what I mean?
I think some of his best drumming is on this album. Like some of the like,
it's well thought out too.
Shit. Yeah, I think just as a player, like we were saying, like he's 4 years past Max, but still having to do these songs. So I think there's just like as you get to like a certain like intensity with your playing and stuff. I think this is like the most intense up until we get to Cavalier Conspiracy, where he tries redefines his playing again. You know what I mean?
Yeah, always taking a different approach because the albums prior to this one, like, still had
like those rolls that we're listening to right now are insane. Yeah, but I mean,
he really likes to like pepper in his double bass. It's not like double bass like throughout the song, or double kicks throughout the song. It's really added in at like very clever moments. He uses his hands as well as he uses his feet, but everything is spaced out so well when it comes to him. I think it's just the classicness because their start in the 80s playing metal, and it's just kind of like that 80s kind of like how you build songs.
Yeah.
Because modern day drummers like fill in fucking way like all those gaps, right? Where like
You just need to breathe a little bit, but let it, again, it's groove metal, quote unquote, so it doesn't need the crazy fill in those gaps. Really, the gaps are needed.
But I love his style, like him and Dave Lombardo's style, because it's very intelligible.
Yeah.
It's easy to listen to, and it's not too fucking extreme on a point to where it's like it can't. You know what I mean?
Can't
like,
even understand what's happening.
Where it's like if we're going like blast beats, insane like drum fills, and there's plenty of bands that do that. Igor has always been like very maintained. He can show you that he can blast beat, but it's never like called upon in their style of music because it's all about the groove, and that's where like thrash metal like found itself in. It was all about just fucking that heavy groove, and then crazy fills in between, you know. And then they always love, because they're Brazilian, to do their like a Rastafarian. They're like what do they always just call it? I like called it jazz, but they called it reggae. Like those breakdowns, they always do reggae breakdowns.
Dub.
Yeah.
Dub breakdowns or whatever.
I guess you can call it dub. Yeah. I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I love that about Sepultura. And you were like, what other band does that? There was like one other band that does that. It was fucking Black Sabbath.
Yeah, those little breakdowns, yeah.
Fucking love it, right?
Oh, yeah.
Yes. And Sepultura. And now Soulfly does it all the time.
Yeah.
But those are like it as far as I know. I'm sure there's other bands, but like in my knowledge, I'm like, dude, those are like, and I love that style of just getting like fucking awesome, crazy, coolest solos you ever heard. But then at the end of it, it could be like the most like crazy, beautiful outro that is like not like anything else
you've ever heard.
Dante's Inferno kind of stays away from some of that like that reggae songs because it's a concept album about going through hell, so we kind of have to keep it
intense,
drive. But that's not to say that they're like they always have like a pretty groovy song that's kind of like a ballady. The new Sepultura always has these where it's kind of like their new. It's actually one of my favorite songs on this. Where I don't think it's this one, but
this song's great too.
I mean,
Fighting
we used to,
man, such a good song.
We used to cover that song Burnt Words.
Buried Words?
Yeah, Buried Words. Yeah, I think it's this song, right? Nuclear 7. It's not really a ballad, but it's like it's very calm. It's very like
compared to the until you get to that breakdown verse where it's like nah, nah, nah,
and the double bass, but that's like the end of it,
and it gets all intense.
But this song fucking is stuck in my head like all the time. I'm like, God damn it.
Yeah.
And it's probably like, I don't know. It's not my favorite song on the album. I know I just said that, but it's the one that gets stuck in my head the most.
What the bomb?
Yeah, right.
So good.
7 Nations City, oh wow. So I was surprised that it popped up this month because I've been listening to it lately before we even decided to do this episode. I was like, perfect.
Perfect.
Yeah, perfect fucking chaos magic lined up just perfect. And we always love an excuse to talk about Sepultura.
Oh, yeah.
And I believe
this is the
last
Sepultura
year
podcast,
we had to pick between these two albums, and we were like, well, we got to do Roots.
Yeah.
Got to do Roots. And if we just waited, we would have had a 25th instead of a 24th.
Yeah. Well, that's why we need to touch on everything. It's good to touch on it now, and people can go listen to that episode to get a lot more context.
Yeah.
For everything.
And go check out the music video for, what is it called? Convictions in Life. Sepultura. It's one of my favorite music videos because it's like, it's the Hell music video. It's the like pretty much the opening song for this album. It's by far the coolest song on here. But check that out on YouTube. It what really got me into this album. I was like, fuck yes. Yeah. And I guess that's it for all our anniversaries.
Yeah, at least up until this point of the month, the 18th. We're going to come back.
So many more.
Yeah, we're going to come back at the end of the month and finish it out. Finish out this month of March in history and music.
Yeah, it's a busy month.
Yeah.
March is always, for whatever reason, tons of fucking albums come out here. It's the beginning of spring, man.
Yeah. Well, with us honoring these albums of the past, it's time to honor the people of the future that are now, or of the present that are now in the past, or were in the present. You know what I'm trying to say.
Everyone's getting old, man.
Yep, everyone's getting old. It's that time in music where we will start to see some of our favorites pass the torch, as they say.
Yes.
If the torch hasn't been passed already.
If your band's 40 years old, I mean, come on, dude. How old does that make you? You had to at least maybe be 20 by the time you started this. Let's just say.
Yeah.
So you're 60? No,
Yeah.
pretty goddamn old.
Yeah.
And rock and roll's a hard life to live, especially back then. It wasn't about like exercise and fucking fruit smoothies. It was about cocaine and drinking
Yeah.
and not sleeping ever. I don't even, like how he made it this long. Mm-hmm. I'm sure everyone's surprised. I have no idea about this guy. He probably didn't even drink. I don't know.
Yeah.
But I assume because it's rock and roll.
Yes. The first one we'll talk about. We have only a couple to talk about, and then we will wrap up the show here. Alexi Laiho from Children of Bodom.
I just found this out today before we
Yeah.
even put it in the episode. I was like, say what?
December 29th, which is my birthday, of last year, 2020. So he was 41, and I believe,
That's really young, man.
Yeah, he had alcohol-induced degeneration of his liver and pancreas.
Yeah, rock and roll, man.
So yeah, also mixed a lot of painkillers, opioids, insomnia medication.
All for the music, man. Children of Bodom is like one of those bands I forget, but I know about them and I know I like them, you know, but I just forget. I'm like, oh yeah, it doesn't pop in my mix or something.
I do like some Children of Bodom songs. They've been in music skate videos and stuff before.
Was he the lead singer of the band?
He's the lead singer and guitar player.
So he was one of the world's best guitar players, because that's how everyone described him as, was like, this guy is one of the best guitar, and he didn't even play guitar for children. He just wrote all the songs and then someone else played guitar.
Well,
right?
He played guitar too. That's what made him like a crazy, like extraordinary guitar player. Is he is singing and shredding. It's
like some Dave Mustaine shit.
He's doing it all exactly.
Like on that same level.
You could say
as
it's
Dave
Mustaine. Like he's the new age Mustaine for that generation. You know what I mean?
Okay.
Shredding solos, really complex, complicated songs that are really good. He's singing himself. You know, yeah.
Again, I need to go back and listen to some. Correct me if I'm wrong, because you got the computer here, but didn't they just release their final album last month?
They actually have one coming out. I think so. 2019 was their last full album, but I thought he had a posthumous
coming.
Bodom After Midnight.
Yes, I thought it was a whole different band.
It's coming.
Yeah,
I think it's either has come out or is coming out. But it's this year.
We'll look at it. We'll find it and let y'all know.
Oh yeah, that might be on our list. So yeah, I personally
didn't know, man. He's fucking young, and this one is a surprise. The guy from the next guy we're talking about, less of a surprise, but it's always tragic no matter what.
Yeah.
Hearing about a passing rock and roll legend.
Yeah.
You know.
And the next guy, LG Petrov. Full name.
Are they from Spain?
Lars Goran. I think Alexi is Swedish. Finland. I don't.
They just call it like Euro thrash metal. It was like all encompassing, or is it German? Right. I mean, this is where he was born.
Where does it say?
Finland.
Oh, Finland. There it is. Okay.
But dude, like,
Finland.
we're
So
talking
he's from
Finland.
Finland.
It's like a drive, like from any other country.
Yeah.
I mean,
LG. So yeah, they're like right there. LG's from Sweden. So yeah, like right there. Those countries. It's like states being.
That's
so
what they
close
just
to each
called
other.
it. European thrash metal.
Yeah.
We're not. I think they said Germany. I think they're from Germany. Don't quote me on this.
Yeah, he was in the LG was in the band Entombed.
That's the band I'm referring to.
Yeah.
That was from Germany, I think.
Yeah, he was famous for that band. He's been in other stuff too.
One of the godfathers of death metal as well.
Yes.
People talk about Left Hand Path as one of those like gateway albums into death metal. So it was also another interesting thing that like our lead singer of our band, we just got a new lead singer, shout out, Kitty, that she brought this up because he passed away. And I always fall into these group thread conversations where I'm like, what the fuck are you guys talking about? And she was like, oh, I fucking love that album, Left Hand Path by, Entombed. I'm like, never really listened to it. And then just, because he passed away, I think it's just popping up on my YouTube. And like, I learned a little bit more. It's like, haha.
It shows up on YouTube.
I see now. Yeah.
The influence and the
Yes,
mark.
of how we get to the death metal that we are today. But again, they were their European death metal, and then we had American death metal. So it's very different over there, very classic. I've listened to 3 or 4 of those songs last night off of Left Hand Path, and wow, it's classic. It's fucking insane too. Like I don't even know what's going on sometimes. I'm like, I don't know when one song stopped and another one ended. I was like, is this the same fucking album?
That's funny. So yeah, he did. Entombed had a lot of albums with him, and he also looks like worked with other people, like a super group called Firespawn and Morbid and stuff like that. And he passed away from bile duct cancer.
God damn you, cancer.
He was 49, and it was March 7th, 2021. So yeah, that was the most recent one. Yeah.
Are we happy that it wasn't from drugs? Or a failed liver or kidney?
I mean, you could say the Alexi one was just massive drinking and drugs, opioids.
And I think it's all kind of bullshit too, because I think
it's just aged. It's just
if you get lung cancer but you've never smoked a cigarette in your life, that's kind of a slap in your face for being a human. Or the person that lives to be 100 that smokes cigarettes every day. That's another slap in the face to the guy that runs and jogs every day. And he fucking just croaks over from a brain aneurysm. I don't fucking know.
Yeah. Everything's random.
Do drugs, kids.
So yeah, I mean, just appreciate.
Life is short.
Yeah, appreciate.
So drink every day.
Life is short. Go
smoke those cigarettes. What else you got going on? It's pandemic, man.
Go honor the albums we've talked about in the anniversary, and go honor the LG and Alexi stuff. Some Children of Bodom. Go crank some tonight.
Yes. Let's not forget about these bands. Like, let's not forget about their. The albums that they came out with. I mean, that's the greatest thing about being a musician, or an actor, is when you pass away, you still have shit that will live on way past you. So again, people are going to be listening to this shit well after you're dead. And to be honest, like, that makes you more real than anyone else around you. Because when I die, I will be forgotten eventually. Does that even mean I existed?
Am I real?
Does that mean I even existed if no one can remember? Because they'll never be forgotten.
Traces of you?
Yeah. Exactly. So, I guess that's why we
something
all
to
want to
think
be
about,
musicians.
people. Yeah. Leave your mark.
Do something good. Not
Yeah.
crazy or bad.
Yeah.
You don't want to be known for a serial killer.
These people were inspirations. So.
So many albums. Again,
Wrap
we're gonna
up some
try to
final thoughts.
Yeah, we're gonna keep working on our format, seeing what sticks, what hits, what we're allowed to do, because that's kind of what we're sitting here waiting for. It's like whenever that court hearing's over, or this meeting with fucking YouTube.
Yeah, whenever someone said, "Hey, you can do that," it's like, okay.
YouTube execs actually have a meeting with the rest of the. I don't fucking know what's going on, but there's things in the works right now when it comes to music rights and being a podcast about music. What anything.
Yeah.
So we hope you enjoyed what we have. We'll keep trying to give you those fun facts and let you know about more releases or just fun
stuff. Yeah.
music news, like that shitty movie, The Sound of Metal. I don't suggest it to anyone, and I say fuck you. And again, it was an Amazon movie, so it's pretty easy to just go say fuck you. They're evil company, am I right? So does that make it a good film? You tell me. Their actions speak louder than words. I don't know. I think still. Did you have a favorite album that we talked about this week?
The Anniversaries?
Yeah.
Good God, I mean...
Did you listen to all of them?
I mean, it's...
You didn't get
I've listened to...
Recently?
Yeah. But not all the way to... Fucking Jesus. It's like
all the way through.
8 hours of music.
I gave 1 day to each
album?
Each album, pretty much.
Okay.
So it was like, well, I could combine the other ones, but really I needed a whole day on each Meshuggah album. I was like, nothing else can enter the realm.
I don't know. Dante holds a special place, but...
I've been listening to it like crazy.
Master of Puppets. So it's like one of the first CDs I ever got. So it's like metal CD, like, you know, that one, that and Ozzy. So I got it.
Plus, that song's always going to pop up, Battery. You know what I mean?
Oh, shit. Yeah, that
Jesus
or
Christ.
just
Or Bleed.
Bleed? Shit,
Those two songs...
Up.
Yeah, but out of all we talked about today...
Yeah.
Battery and Bleed... Forever.
Yeah. Forever.
The whole Roots album, but there's not really one song. Everyone can say Roots, Bloody Roots, but it's more about the entire album than it is any individual song on that album. Am I correct?
Yeah.
But when it comes to everything else, I would say, Master of Puppets is great. But go listen to Meshuggah, because that's even better, man. Like, Meshuggah is like blowing my fucking mind. I can't stop thinking about it. Like, I don't know what to do, man. Like,
I just inject it if I could. It's like heroin.
If I go down this rabbit hole, will I be able to listen to any other music afterwards?
Yeah.
I'm gonna have to keep going crazier with it. I guess we'll have to do that in the next episode.
Yeah.
So, all right, thank you all. Follow us on Instagram at BANGover Productions. You can follow us on YouTube. Hit that bell. And I guess go follow us on Facebook. Do we have Facebook?
If you want, if people are still on Facebook and trust it, I mean, we're there.
YouTube, you can find all this stuff. Yeah. Well, we're on Spotify. This guy uses Apple Music, so we can't agree.
We're everywhere.
We can't agree just on one platform.
Spotify.
He doesn't own Spotify, and that's why we can't.
Yeah.
All right. Thank y'all again.
Later.